Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2. Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. It's grilling season. Want the best beef around, some of the best beef in the world. Sagrera Farms has got you covered with all of that. Be telling you about them throughout the hour here. All right, LSU and Little Rock, 24 hours away. 2 o'clock tomorrow, right now, tomorrow. They'll be starting. I'll be sitting here probably talking to Luke Johnson about the Saints. But not right now, so let's talk some baseball. I have got a story coming up on LouisianaSports.net that are the 3 players I think are the biggest key for LSU this weekend. Now, let me be very clear where this idea is born from. Very obviously, Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson are the 2 most important players for LSU this weekend. Because theoretically, if you're going to play 27 innings of baseball, they could pitch 16 of them. I mean, if they both go 8 innings, it's possible. And that's the most important thing, those 2 guys. But while I certainly leave the door open for one of them to not have a great outing or both of them to not have a great outing, they've had a lot of great outings over the last couple of months. And if they aren't great, well, we know what LSU's fate is. I'm counting on them as kind of constants. I'm counting on them to be good. We already know if those guys aren't good, LSU's in big trouble. I'm talking about some of the ancillary pieces on this team that have got to be good to me this weekend for different reasons. So let me start with the first guy on this 3-man list. That's Derek Curiel. You know the story of Derek Curiel by now. He was gangbusters the first 43 games. Got on base in every game. Hitting at the top of the lineup most of the season. Big home runs in Austin. Just a force at the top of LSU's offense. And then the 43-game on-base streak was snapped, and he came back against Tennessee and went 5 for 5 in the clinching game. And Jay Johnson said it was one of the best games he's ever had a player play, and I believe him. He's hitting doubles and triples all over the place against Tennessee in that Sunday game. And for whatever reason, and whatever cliche you want to use, he may have hit that freshman wall. Because he's not swinging it right now at anywhere close to where he was the first 10 weeks of the season. In his last 11 games, Derek Curiel is 8 for 46. That's 174. And he may be tired. The book may be out on him. He may just be in a slump. But either way, he has not really produced for the last 11 games. And the reason that it's important that Derek Curiel produces this weekend is because Jared Jones absolutely feasts on mediocre pitching. And at points of this weekend, you're going to be facing some mediocre pitching. Maybe not right out of the chute on Saturday. Maybe Wells has some good stuff early tomorrow. Former Nations leader in ERA. But there are going to be some times, Little Rock's bullpen, Sunday for whoever, if you're playing Sunday morning or Sunday evening, maybe Monday, like there's going to be some mediocre pitching out there. And Jared Jones is going to hit 1 or 2 home runs this weekend. He just is. It's hot out there. This pitching's going to get mediocre. We saw him every Tuesday blasting home runs. He's going to hit a home run or 2. I said this for South Carolina. I'll say it again. He does this. He's done it for 3 years. I need people on base when he does that. And Derek Curiel hits right in front of Jared Jones. So he's got to find a way to walk a little bit more, to hit the ball a little bit harder, get hit by a pitch. He's got to find his way on base and maybe snap out of this. They've had a pretty long break. They got off the field in Columbia, South Carolina on Saturday afternoon. They played 1 game on Friday and 1 game on Saturday the following day. So you go Sunday to Friday, they've played 2 games. Everybody ought to have their legs underneath them. And even a freshman who's played a lot of games this year maybe has a second shot in him. And I think that Derek Curiel's got to find something for LSU to make a run. Because if you're hitting in front of LSU's most feared power hitter, you got to get on base. Huge for Derek Curiel this weekend. The second player here is Zach Cowan. And you know why? But he transitioned seamlessly from Wofford ace to Tiger closer here. LSU won 15 of the first 16 games he pitched in. The Tigers have now lost 3 of his last 4 appearances. And that's got to change. Y'all have heard my dissertation on this. I did not really think too poorly of the 2 games he pitched in College Station. I thought he made some good pitches. I thought he had a little bit of bad baseball luck and some really good swings from Texas A&M. I thought he got lit up in South Carolina. Those are 2 very different things to me. Either way, he needs to step up. In the 3 outings, 2 in College Station and 1 at Columbia, South Carolina, he gave up 2 home runs and 3 triples. That's 5 extra base hits in 2 2/3 innings. 5 extra base hits in less than 3 innings. In the other 42 2/3 he's thrown this year, he's given up 1 home run, 6 doubles, and a triple. So 5 of the 13 extra base hits he gave up were in 2 2/3 innings. The other 8 were in 42 2/3. Zach Cowan's not going to be intimidated. He's not going to have his heart rate through the roof. He's a stoic kid. He's an old kid. He's been in big spots. He's pitching for Wofford's life last year in the conference tournament. This time he's got 13,000 behind him. And he's got the LSU name on his chest. I think Zach Cowan's going to be just fine. I would not hesitate 1 second to send him out there in the first tight game. And as I detailed in the first segment of the show today, it is unlikely that LSU plays 3 blowouts this weekend and goes to the Supers. It's unlikely. It's possible. It's unlikely. And at some point, things are going to get tight at the end of a game. And Cowan's got to be good. Got to nail it down. Has to happen. And Jay Johnson's going to go to him in that spot. He's got to slam the door. So you got Derek Curiel first. You got Zach Cowan second. The third guy is Jake Brown. Jake Brown's been a platoon this year with Josh Pearson. Right-handed starter, Jake Brown. Left-handed starter, Pearson. That's what we've seen all year. And Brown's swung the bat great. He's hitting .319 this year. He's got 7 home runs. Only 38 starts for Jake Brown this year. I've got good news for Jake Brown here on this Thursday. This regional has a lot of right-handed pitching in it. The ace for Little Rock you're going to see tomorrow, right-handed. Dallas Baptist's top 3 starters, right-handed. The big left-handed arm in this regional is the Rhode Island ace who's pitching on Friday against Dallas Baptist. So LSU will not see him, theoretically, until Monday maybe. You're going to see a lot of right-handed pitching this weekend. That means you're going to see a lot of Jake Brown this weekend, and I need some big swings. I need some big swings from Jake Brown, and he's been doing it. So for different reasons, all 3 of these guys are going to be crucial to LSU. Curiel is one of the best players in this regional. He's got to show up in front of Jared Jones. Cowan is your closer. You're going to him in a leverage spot. And Brown, been platooning, in the lineup, out of the lineup, pinch hit here, start that day. He's in the lineup. A lot of right-handed pitching. He's got to have a big weekend. He's going to be in the middle of the order. He's going to be around Jones, around Dickinson, going to be around Fry. Got to swing the bat. And I think he will. I'd love for Luis Hernandez to go nuts this weekend. I'd love for Stephen Milam to go nuts this weekend. I think those are a little bit less likely. These 3 guys are going to be involved in big spots. They've got to come through in addition to Anderson and Ianson and Kason Evans and Jared Jones and Ethan Fry and those guys that have been so good all year. These are the 3 ancillary pieces that I think need to carry the day for the rest of the roster for this LSU team. But to be clear, to win a regional, whether you're the LSU number 1 seed or you're the 3 seed trying to be the Cinderella, you need a bunch of guys to play really well over the course of 3 or 4 days. You can't just have one pitcher. You can't just have one power bat. Everybody's got to play, but these are the guys I think are big, big keys to LSU's weekend success It is Derek Curiel, Zach Cowan, and Jake Brown. I'll have a story up at LouisianaSports.net with some more numbers in it a little bit later on this afternoon. We're off and running here on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. We'll step aside. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, going to jump aboard next. We'll be on the call all weekend long. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety is a big, big deal in the bathroom, especially as folks age. There's someone in your life that's aging, wants to stay home, and you're thinking, man, that could be a potential problem there in the bathroom, slip and falls. Could be a bad deal. You can't take that risk away, but you can mitigate it. Put in non-slip floors, put in the guardrails, handrails in slippery areas. Walk-in tubs are more comfortable, convenient, safer. Shower with the bench in it. David Duvall and his team can do all of that. So if that's starting to ring a bell for you and you're starting to think, probably something I need to look into, call David and set up a free consultation. That part doesn't cost you anything. Just sit down with him. He's been doing this for 30 years. He can help you with whatever it is you're looking for. Go to onebathandclosets.com. See the pictures of their fantastic work. Get that free consultation. Financing available, I'll tell you every day. 0% up to 18 months if you qualify. It's David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Baseball at the box this weekend. They'll start up at 2 o'clock. It'll be LSU, the 1 seed, in Little Rock, the 4 seed. Pregame can be heard at 1:30 over on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. That means you'll listen to me for 30 minutes, and then you'll jump over to Eagle and hear Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, on the call. As long as LSU's rolling this weekend, he's good enough to give us a little bit of time here on this Thursday. Chris, how are you?
Doing good, man. Exciting time of the year, a little postseason baseball.
It is very much an exciting time of the year. What did you make of LSU's short trip to Hoover?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I've often joked with Coach Johnson over the last 3 seasons that, if you listen to him closely going into every SEC tournament, he's always mentioned the fact that, there are certain things they want to go and accomplish. And I think without question, and he never tells you what those are. And I don't blame him. He keeps them close to the vest, and that's kind of, to the team only. But I got to believe, just based on what I saw last week, I think it was about, giving guys opportunities to get some more action against quality hitters on a big stage, big crowd, to try to get ready and find a couple of those guys that you and I have been talking about week after week after week from a pitching perspective. And, I think overall, when you look at the last 2 weeks and include Hoover, I think you certainly took steps in the right direction. So I think all said and done, they wanted to be there. And again, you hate to be shut out for the first time since 2022. But I think at the top of the list was, let's get some guys some action and get them ready and hopefully get them closer to being a little more consistent, frankly, when it really counts. And that starts this weekend.
Those 3 bullpen guys you saw on Saturday sure made it count. They were awesome, all 3 of them. What stood out to you about those outings?
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at it earlier today. I mean, again, I think Jaden Newt's kind of quietly jumped into that category that I mentioned to you, I believe, on the show last week, which was, the Chase Shores, the Jacob Myers, and the Maverick Grizzlies, where you have seen flashes. Now you just need some consistency. And I think Jaden Newt over the last couple of outings has been able to do that. And I think Chase Shores may have found his spot, at least for 2025. I thought he pitched extremely well. And then Jacob Myers. I mean, I go back to what Jay told me at the beginning of the year. He said if he had to handicap one guy that has the potential, just based on natural ability, to be playing in a major league uniform, it's Jacob Myers is one of those guys. And so, again, I think that's what bodes well for LSU. And it's like Jay said earlier today at the press conference over at the box. If Coach Johnson's worried about pitchers, then, everybody in the country's worried about pitchers.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I try to fight against, because I want to look at LSU and make sure that LSU's doing okay, and you're not looking at everybody else going, well, everybody else is trying to find their 5th, 6th, and 7th arms too. There just aren't a lot of college teams running around with 11 of them, and LSU certainly isn't, but
really no one is. So how good do you feel about those top 7 right now?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to enough coaches over the years, and when you talk about Omaha, and again, that's the ultimate goal for every college baseball team. How many do you have? How many do you have to make it through a virtual 2-week gauntlet? And everybody starts with the number 8, and then so many times they'll go, now you can do it with 6, you can do it with 7, but we feel much better if you have 8. Again, do we have 8 that you would put the mortgage on? I don't know. Do we have 6 that you feel really good about? 7 maybe that you feel good about in certain spots? Yeah. And over the next week or 2, can LSU roll into Omaha, knock on wood, that happens, and get close to 8 guys you rely on? Yeah, I think, we are kind of victims of the moment, and we're victims of the vacuum we live in the sense that, for what? 3/4, if not more, of the season, most of us would have said, well, we really feel like we got 4. We got 2 starters and 2 guys we can count on out of the bullpen. I think if you really sit back and look at it, I think we all have had that opinion change over the last couple of weeks, and that's a good thing.
How do you feel like the offense is going to feel getting in there at the box against non-SEC pitching?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a chance to get right. I'll start there. To me, that's kind of the biggest concern, and it's not just what I saw in Hoover. I mean, it's kind of been a concern for a couple of weeks. Not in the sense that this is not a good offensive team, because obviously the numbers over, 56 games and now 58 games certainly, tell a different story. They have a solid and potent offense. And I think that you're going to face some, pitching tomorrow that you should be able. I say that, but how many times have we seen midweek games where guys are, running it up there at 86 miles an hour, 84 miles an hour, with a fastball, and it does take some time to adjust. But I think LSU, I'd rather adjust to that than, the other way around. But I think offensively, that's your biggest concern right now. There were times, I think, in March and maybe even early to mid-April that I would finish a game hunt and mention to you or to Doug or to Buzzy or even to Bill Franquez, I'm still looking for that massive hole, gaping hole in this lineup, and I don't see it. That's kind of changed here over the last couple of weeks. There are some gaps where you're just not getting production. Guys that have, and guys that show they have the ability to do it, they just haven't here of late. But I think this weekend, based on the draw that LSU got when the pairings came out on Monday, again, you take nothing for granted because it is the game of baseball. But I think this is a get-right weekend, almost a must-get-right weekend for this offense.
Have we talked about the defense enough?
Probably not, because everybody gets concerned with pitching. I think we feel better about where we are there. Offense, I think we're all a little bit nervous about it, now that we flip into the real postseason in the road to Omaha. But to your point, I mean, defensively, I argued all week last week in Hoover that, the best shortstop in the SEC is Stephen Milam. If you want to talk about what it means to a team defensively, 3 errors and the couple of plays we saw him make last week at Hoover Met will tell you that. But I think defensively, maybe and again, I'm guilty of this as anybody. You just kind of take it for granted that, very rarely do you see miscues like we saw, Stanfield, who's been so solid in center field. He took a chance on coming in on that line drive and it got by him. I think defensively LSU is in a good spot. They're not the best, when you look at the numbers, but they're pretty doggone good.
Yeah, fielding over 980 as a team, which you'll take every single day of the week. You have any of your favorite regional memories from sitting up there at the box?
Yeah, I do remember, obviously that 17 season was a lot of fun. Obviously 16 was fun. I remember the first game I did there in the regional, with Dykeman and the guys. But 17 was a fun run. I got to tell you, 2023 was good. Was a lot of fun, especially the super regional to me. Punching that ticket and getting by a really good Kentucky team. But yeah, regionals are just fun, man, because everybody who's there really wants to be there. Everybody that's working the regional is excited. You get a little bounce in your step after a long regular season, and that happens at every venue, man. You go through that many games of getting the field ready and getting concession stands ready and cleaning the ballpark, all that stuff that we take for granted every single day. But everybody's kind of got an extra bounce in their step, and it just feels different. So I went over there today. got our booth ready, and I was like, man, I'm ready to go right now. Let's start it today. I think Dallas Baptist was practicing. I'm like, come on, let's go.
Do you have to unhook it all for the games LSU's not playing, or is there enough room for everybody?
Well, we do, but this year we're lucky. 2 teams have radio, us and Dallas Baptist. Okay. So us and the Patriots get to stay put all weekend. But, yeah, last year on the road in Chapel Hill, we set up every game and break down every game, which, it's not coal mining, but, it's just easier when you can leave it there. So no complaints this year.
Last one. Just curious your thought on the vibes of the team. You've been around them in Columbia, South Carolina, been around them in Hoover. This is the time of year where they don't have to go to school. So what do you think of the guys and their energy level right now?
Yeah, I think it's good. I'll be honest with you. And that's really forget the games. I mean, games are hard. I just think being around them as they prepped in Hoover. And I'll be honest, I think a lot of times, as much as coaches try to keep their eye on the prize, this is our next game, we got to be locked into this. And I'm not saying this about LSU particularly. I just think there's more of a sense of urgency once you get to this weekend. And no disrespect to the SEC tournament. It's a great place to go. It's a great place to see great baseball. But as I said in the beginning, there's certain things LSU went over there to accomplish. And, hey, if, by the way, you get all of those done and you end up winning and hoisting the trophy, that's great. But that wasn't the be-all, end-all. And so I think that there's a new kind of renewed energy. And I think it's good that, and again, this is why these great programs continue to be great, is you've got enough guys that were on that team in 23, as much as the roster gets turned over and all that we deal with in today's college athletics, there's enough of those guys still on this team that I think know what it takes, and they know the business that needs to be taken care of. And I like their body language. I like the way they got after it earlier this morning. And I'm looking forward to them getting after it tomorrow.
Looking forward to checking in the radio booth tomorrow, and we'll see you at the box all weekend long.
You got it.
He's Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers. Catch him tomorrow. 1:30 pregame over on Eagle 98.1, the flagship of LSU athletics. A couple things about that discussion we just had that I kind of wanted to expound on. One, the defense. I've watched a lot of regionals in Baton Rouge. Not as many as all of you, but as many as a lot of you. And infield defense and catcher defense are such a big deal in these games. I have watched lesser teams come in here and kick it all over the place and not block the ball behind home plate and give away free 90s and give away outs. And that is backbreaking to anyone. And right now, the way Braswell's playing at third, the way Milam has played all year at short, the way Dickinson has played all year at second, and you've gotten better behind the plate at catcher, both Hernandez and Aaron Beatty. It's not perfect, but you've gotten better. That gives me some comfort going into the weekend. I like that. And I also just think that LSU is probably able, as of Saturday of last week, to just breathe. Just breathe. You're not in this just absolute pressure cooker of a 30-game regular season where you got to win every single freaking game to try to get that top 8 seed. And it just never lets up. It's 10 weeks long. Locking in for 10 weeks is a long time. And you got your top 8, and you're coming home, and you don't have finals, and you don't have class, and you don't have study hall. You've just got baseball. And you didn't travel this week, and you've only played 2 games in what will be 13 days. It's like, okay, let's go play. And if you keep in mind, because I'm going to talk about this at the top of tomorrow's show, I'm sure. We'll have a lineup, so I'll probably get to that too. But, LSU looked like garbage in Hoover 2 years ago. Just looked bad. Skeens didn't have it. Didn't swing the bats great. Went 1-2, came home. And they had a meeting after that as a team. Now, that team had Cruz and White and Morgan and Jobert and Dugas and Beloso. Just an incredible team. I get it. And this team, to this point, hasn't been quite that. But just the attitude adjustment that they got from a crappy weekend in Hoover to come back. And I realize I told you that the Saturday game in the regional got hairy, and it did. But they really played good baseball. They were great on Friday against Tulane. They were great on Sunday to win the regional. And then they were phenomenal in the Super against Kentucky, just beat the brakes off of them. And I just get the sense if something can go right early on Friday and then something can go right early on Saturday, it's just a different feeling. I think LSU this weekend can feel like a bully. You can't really feel like a bully in SEC play. And that's the kind of mindset I think LSU should take into a weekend. You should feel like the bully. And with that weight of that 30-game grind out of the way and a couple more 91, 92-mile-an-hour fastballs instead of constant 98, I just think it's going to make a little bit of a difference. I feel like LSU is going to play well this weekend. We'll see. We'll certainly react to all of it, and we got more previewing to do. We got 90 minutes. Well, got an hour and a half. Yeah, 90 minutes of show left to do to preview it, 30 minutes today, then an hour tomorrow. And then we get to the second hour tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of football and Saints talk. But LSU in Little Rock tomorrow. Appreciate Chris for giving us a little bit of time. Speaking of Saints, we'll get to some of that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Big shout out to Sagrera Farms, bringing our Thursday shows each and every week. Sagrera Farms premium beef. If you're a steak eater, which I am, you know the difference between a great steak, great piece of beef, and one that's And you know where you can generally go to get a great one, and where if you go, your expectations are a little lower. What if I could guarantee you were going to get a great piece of beef every time and that you could have it in your freezer for months and months? Sagrera Farms can make that happen for you. It's a different experience in buying your beef. We're talking steaks, ribeyes, fillets, strips, talking flank steaks. We're also talking ground beef. How often do you use ground beef? What if you could just have it in your freezer on hand? Because Sagrera Farms sells sides, meaning half a cow, and whole cows. You go up to Sagrera Farms, you talk to Sean Sagrera, you take a look at the product, they seal it up for you and send it home with you. If you don't like the product, then you don't pay for it. There's no deposit that you're putting down. You are going to be satisfied with your beef every single time. And I know a lot of times we head out to buy our food for the week, buy our food for the next 2 weeks, buy our food for the weekend. You look at the bill and you're like, well, at this point, you can fix that cost. You just go get it all now. Put it in the freezer and you have it. Whenever you're ready to go, put a steak on the grill, use that ground beef. Sagrera Farms can help you out. And it's the top 1% in the world. Right here, just outside Baton Rouge. It's a 3-year process. Raised on grass, finished on grain. Dry aged 45 days. You're talking no preservatives, no water when that process is done. And it's just phenomenal, flavorful, tender beef every single time. It's Sagrera Farms premium beef. They bring you our Thursday shows. Call my guy, Sean Sagrera. Here's the number. Get your phone out. Call Sean. Say, I'm ready to give this a shot. I'm ready to get some of the best beef in the world right there under my roof. It's 719-1723. 719-1723. It's Sagrera Farms. They bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. All right, let's talk Saints. I saw a piece on ESPN.com today that was talking about the biggest positive for each franchise entering the 2025 year. And the Saints was a little bit backhanded, but I think it's rooted in absolute truth. And it's something that we've been talking about, but it's also something that I got some numbers put in front of me that I really liked. And I told y'all this, like, every single nuance of the salary cap is a little bit more than I'm willing to sign off for. I get the concepts, but if you hand me the numbers and tell me verbally what they're going to do, I'm going to have a hard time completely solving the equation. Okay, just hand up. But if you do it for me, I can interpret what that means. And ESPN.com did it for me. So let's talk about it. The backhanded compliment about the best thing was that a reboot is being forced upon the Saints. With Derek Carr's retirement, with the state of the roster, with the salary cap, like, the Saints didn't really have a choice. They couldn't really go get a quarterback at the top of the draft to mortgage all the draft picks, and they didn't have a lot of space to. They were kind of stuck with, okay, you got Rattler, you drafted Shook, okay, let's go. And now you look at the rest of the roster, and you kind of look at it realizing where you are. But the numbers that come with the salary cap that is really, really, really close are so encouraging. Marshawn Lattimore comes off the books after 2025, $31.7 million. Michael Thomas comes off the books after 2025, $9.2 million. Derek Carr is coming off the books in a couple of years, but that number is drastically decreased based on his retirement and the deferral of that $30 million that he's no longer going to demand. Ryan Ramchik's retirement happens. And then, after this season, Taysom Hill, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Tyrann Mathieu, the contracts are going to expire. And if you spread their dead cap hits over 2 years, you're talking about freeing up about $7 million. So I put all those numbers in front of you to say this. Every year, we look at the salary cap, and what does the Saints number look like? Generally speaking, and I'm using general terms, $50 million over, $65 million over, $73 million over the cap as you approach the offseason, where you're trying to add to your roster, but you're $70 million over the cap. That's what it usually looks like when you hit the offseason. And when you take Lattimore and Thomas and Taysom Hill, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Tyrann Mathieu, Derek Carr, Ryan Ramczyk, this group of players, before you restructure in a single deal on the current roster, which is what they always have to do to get compliant, before you restructure anybody else, the Saints have $33 million of space on the projected cap moving into 2026. Speaking in general terms, that is a $100 million difference than where they usually are. $100 million. Now, there are always things that come up with contracts and things change. So I can't speak to exactly what that number is going to be when we get to that point. What I can tell you with certainty is that it's miles better than any place you have been in the last 10 years. And that right there is a welcome sight. Now, I'm well aware that freeing up that $33 million under the cap means you no longer have Taysom Hill as a playmaker. You no longer have Demario Davis in the middle of your defense. You no longer have Tyrann Mathieu as a starting safety and Cam Jordan as one of your edge players. You don't have Derek Carr at quarterback. There are roster holes that have to be filled. So it's not apples to apples. It's not like, oh, your roster's already full and you've got to fill that and you're going to spend money to do it, right? But still, it's so much different than it's been for so long. And again, you probably got to just eat this year because freeing up some cash from Derek Carr doesn't allow you to do much at this point in the calendar. There aren't enough quality players left to make any changes. But just looking at that Excel spreadsheet or whatever Kai Harley's got over there, it looks so much better. Now the roster doesn't look as good as it did 3 years ago. You got to change that. But you have the flexibility to actually go out and do it. There are two pieces of the puzzle when acquiring talent. You've got to be able to afford it, and you've got to be able to evaluate it. Now, you're going to be able to afford it. You're going to have draft picks, probably high ones, and you now have some space to afford it. You got to marry those together to make this next run. It's very much easier said than done, but you couldn't even say it previously. And when I'm reading the ESPN.com article and they finally put some actual numbers and names to some of these contracts that are coming off, and some of these guys, one or two of those guys may be on the team at a reduced number, but it's a significantly reduced number. There's a lot of fat checks coming off the books really soon. And so you realize that, you look at Kool-Aid McKinstry and Kendre Miller and Chris Olave, and you look at Taliesin Fuaga and Kelvin Banks, and you look at Eric McCoy, you look at Brian Brzee, and you hope that those guys become pillars and that now, for the first time in a long time, you feel like you can really get into the free agent market and not go shopping all the dented cans that are discount prices like Adam Sandler and Big Daddy. You can actually go spend money on real players that can come in and help. You don't have to hope you strike gold on a diamond in the rough. It's great when you hit on DeMario Davis like that, but I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just go sign the guy who's coming off of a great year. And you can't do that when you're $72 million over the cap. 33 under? Huh? We may be able to talk. So that, to me, yeah, it's a backhanded thing to say that a positive thing about your team is that you have to go through a rebuild. That's a negative. But when you expound on it and you look at the actual numbers and the names that are coming off the books and the possibilities that brings for a change of course in the organization, that is a positive. It's just a year away. There's a look at your New Orleans Saints. Ross Jackson is at Saints OTAs today. They just got out of the locker room, so they've had some opportunities to chat with Kellen Moore, some of the players, about what they've been doing over at OTAs. I'm guessing he'll probably join Matt on the show today, this afternoon. He'll definitely have a couple pieces up at LouisianaSports.net. So if you want to stay in tune with the Saints, you can certainly do it here, wherever you find your sound, via the radio or on YouTube. But you can also go to LouisianaSports.net and read Ross's write-ups for free. So we'll let you do that. We'll step aside. We'll come back and finish the show. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car is on the lot. It's online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. I feel like I ought to tell you more often about the incredible people that work at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Their staff is incredible. And the hospitality that they show you when you step foot on that dealership is truly second to none. They understand that the Genesis buying experience and the Genesis driving experience and ownership experience are just that. It's an experience. And that's why they give you incredible customer service when you walk in. That's why the service aisle is impeccably clean. That's why when you go sit and wait for your vehicle, if you decide to do that and you don't do the valet maintenance, you're going to have incredible Wi-Fi and a great coffee station and snacks and a wonderful staff to greet you. It's why you're going to feel like a guest and not a customer. It's why when you test drive, you can do it at the dealership, or you can do it away from the dealership when the brand ambassadors come to you to help you through that process. And if you want that car delivered to your front door, they'll help you with that as well. All that's just part of the Genesis experience. It's a luxury vehicle at a reasonable price. Check them out online or go see them. Airline at Pico across from Women's Hospital. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Our Rad Dad contest is back and bigger than ever. Roaming Shot Outdoors and Citizens Bank and Trust bring you your dad's favorite gifts ever. A green egg thanks to Goodwood Hardware, a steak pack from Chris's Specialty Foods, manly soap from Hawk Soap, and a hunting class for two from Roaming Shot Outdoors. Upload your pictures at 1045ESPN.com now through June 8th. Then get your friends and family to vote June 9th through the 12th. Happy Father's Day to all those rad dads out there.
Closing it up, big shout out to Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. You've been hearing me talk about them for a couple of months now. It's great stuff. Highly recommend you check that out. Father's Day around the corner. Be a pretty good gift. Get your man in your life a big old truckload of steaks, which you can do if you call Sean Sagrera. I'll give you the number right now. 719-1723. Again, 719-1723. Call Sean, say, hey, I heard about the steaks, heard about the beef on the Hunt Palmer Show. Where do we start? And you'll start by driving up to the farm and checking out their incredible products. Sorry, Beck. I think we're just about done here. What do we got to take it or leave it?
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
All right, we talked about this, maybe it was last week or honestly might have been 2 weeks ago, but Hunt, the LSU Shreveport Pilots.
Wow, what a team.
They are going on an unprecedented run right now
Shreveport is losing it.
in college baseball. specifically the NAIA World Series. The Pilots have not lost since we talked about it last. They went undefeated through their regional and then are now 2-0 in the NAIA World Series. They've just got 2 more. Actually, it's only 3-0 right now. They just need 2 more wins to go 59-0 and win the NAIA World Series. The Pilots will get it done. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I mean, if they're going to win 57 in a row, they're going to win 59 in a row. I will say this. This is taking nothing away from the Pilots. That's an incredible accomplishment. It's phenomenal. I mean, to do that is a memory of a lifetime, and there are people in Shreveport that are talking a lot about it. I'm not 100% sure where I stand on this is an incredible LSUS baseball team, and like, who are the other teams that can't beat them one time? It is like, what's their rotation? Is it Skeens and Verlander and Skubal? Like, how do they not lose one time?
It is shocking. It really is. I'm not sure. I mean,
it's supposed to be like a level play. I'm just like, is Shreveport the fertile recruiting grounds? You got to lock in everybody from airline, and that's just, it seems impossible.
It does, but and yet they continue to win. So we'll see. They play tonight 8:30, and then they'll play it again tomorrow if they win. So we'll see how the Pilots get on with it. But it seems like they're cruising their way to a national championship, which is pretty astounding.
Shreveport 318, incredible.
It is, really is. All right, next one here. NCAA President Charlie Baker says he sees value in expanding the NCAA basketball tournament by a handful of teams and wants to reach a decision on the matter in the next few months. Take it or leave it.
I mean, take it. What do you mean by value? There's value meaning dollars. There's more games for CBS to have to pay for. And that goes back to what I talked about yesterday. Like, we're making every decision based purely on dollars and cents. And I think at a certain point, that's not great. And adding a bunch more 22 and 17 teams from the Big East to the tournament, like, I don't need it. There are already teams that aren't that great getting in right now. And I just don't need it. But everyone is chasing dollars because you've got to pay everybody. It's just there's so much that's involved money-wise now, and it turns some people off.
All right, last one here. Chicago Bears quarterback Caleb Williams today defended his commitment to the organization that drafted him first after an excerpt from Seth Wickersham's book, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback, revealed that Williams and his father, Carl, had considered ways for the Heisman Trophy winner to avoid being drafted by the Bears. But Williams delivered a 3-minute, 55-second opening statement that addressed his feelings about the Bears related to the pre-draft process and said the book's excerpts were a distraction of the past 2 weeks and that he is fully committed to being a Bear and loves being a Bear. You believe him. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. How bad could it be?
Yeah.
It's not like it's one of the storied franchises in the NFL. It's a great city. They care. I mean, they have a lot of young talent. Like, what people are willing to say to journalists blows my mind a little bit. As someone who with a journalism major who writes and talks, I'm always shocked at what people are willing to tell journalists. And for the dad to pop off like that is a little bit difficult to comprehend. But I think it was great that Caleb went to the microphone and said, all right, before you ask a question, here's the deal. And he stood there and faced the music and talked about it. And I thought that was really good. He didn't duck from it or say it was out of context or he didn't attack the guy who wrote the book. He just stated how he felt. And so I thought that was a good step, and hopefully it's in the rearview mirror. I don't care about the Bears at all, but it's just a tough spot for a young quarterback to be in when his dad's taking headlines. It's not exactly what you're looking at. So that'll do it here for this Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. We're back tomorrow. First hour will be all baseball. We'll have a lineup for you. Second hour is going to be all football as LSU will be playing over at the box. And I'll head over there and cover it. And that's all done. Matt's going to drive you home on AFR coming up next. We're back tomorrow, like I mentioned, same time, same place for a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.